of things, both personally and business. But I feel like, you look at, just all of the things that I'm having an opportunity to do and touch, what I'm saying right now. It's like literally like I'm living out my dreams, what I'm saying? And it's such a blessing. And so, I feel
Mhm.
like, you know, how's heart, and it's just like it's hard to not be in a place of just like gratefulness and thankfulness for like all the opportunities and all the things that I can just be like touching and like spending my time on right now. So feeling super blessed, bro. Super blessed.
That's good. That's dope. And now with that, I want you to go back to 15-year-old you and how you were able to even like visualize, or like what was the seed, the point to be able to start cultivating the life that you're living now? What did that
Yeah.
look like? What was the first genesis and idea of like, hey man, like I don't know what I'm doing, or I might have an inkling, but to now live the life that you're living now, what was that first seed of like that point, pinpoint, like a moment?
Yeah. Man, so honestly, I feel like 15 years old was like a really interesting juncture for me. I feel like 15 was a point where I was coming off of playing incredibly, competitive basketball, playing AAU ball and travel ball with a lot of guys, who are in the league now, not to, go too deep into it or, nerd out about it, but, folks who are, from Texas, remember like the Kelly Oubre's, the Justin Jacksons, the Julius Randles, I'm saying, the Marcus Smarts of the world, and that was basically like, my age, demographic, right? When I was 15, I had microfracture surgery on my knee. And so, it's like
Mm,
you can definitely tell, like, when you're younger, like, who is at a different level from everybody else, you know what I'm saying? And like, also, you can
right.
assess like what level you're at, from everybody. And I feel like, basically, like when I had to have that knee surgery and I was out for like 6 months, I feel like that was the first time in my life that I was like, damn, like, I'm probably not going to be a professional basketball player. Like who am I going to be? Like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to be? And the journey was not like it didn't happen at 15. I feel like it really happened over the course of like 4 or 5 years where I kind of figured out like really where I wanted to fit in. But that was the beginning. You know what I mean? And I'll say that, again, I talk about my parents, what I'm saying, just when you ask me where I'm from, right? And just some of these experiences, man. When I was in middle school, I played on the AAU basketball team. We traveled across the country, went to the Kentucky Derby, flew on private planes and all this stuff. But, the gentleman who was funding all these things, right, he had sold his company to AT&T, right? And so,
Mm,
these were things that like when I'm in middle school, I don't understand the significance of it. You know what I'm saying? Even when I'm 15, I don't understand the significance of it. But it's like I'm never going to forget as a middle schooler flying private to every basketball game. I'll never forget that. And it's like what afforded me that? Someone selling their software business. You know what I mean? And so like there was definitely some of those things in that period of life that maybe not consciously, what I'm saying, got my head to where it needed to be, but it provided a level of just like awareness and exposure, for like when my consciousness was able to kind of like catch up to it. The last thing that I'll say though is like playing at such a highly competitive level at that age in my life, it made me realize like whatever I do, I want to do it at the highest level. I don't necessarily know what
right.
the next step is for me, but like I don't want to be mediocre, what I'm saying? I don't want to be average, what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's living their life just to live their life, but like that was never going to be me. And I think that was just from those like highly competitive, environments that I got placed in early on.
Word. That's actually a really, really good perspective. What AAU team did you play on?
Oh man, I played on a couple teams, man. So I played on the Texas Titans for a little bit. That was the team that we were flying
Man,
all
bro,
across.
that was James Randall, bro. What?
Yeah, bro.
What?
Yeah. And then played for a team called the Dallas Mustangs. We had a couple really good cats on that team, and then I don't know if you remember Darren Williams, who played for the Jazz and all them. But I played for D Will
Yes.
team. That was my last. Yeah.
D Will had an AAU team?
Oh yeah, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. He came to practice with us too, man. You just realize it's a different level, bro. It's a different level. Like this, like the end of his career. He not in as great a shape. He's still coming down, windmilling it with two hands, like point guard. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Yeah, bro. After that sit at the Nets, damn, bro, you really, bro. Like I grew up because again, like for me, as somebody that was a hoop enthusiast who had ideas and had visions of going to the league, but like only 5'8" on a good day. I
Hey,
didn't go to a school. Didn't go to a school that was very competitive, but every black kid is dreaming, right? But like you got to play with like the elite of the elite, and who are actually putting in work in the league. They're not like LeBron, but
yeah,
I feel like their dedication to the craft. Julius Randle, most improved, went to New York, double double. Marcus Smart, championship caliber, like literally Gary Payton, freaking hot, like hunger defense. So you got like, and again, like that, those y'all were like the guys that I looked up to, right? And like those guys were the guys I looked up to in terms of like guys from Texas who are like putting in work. And y'all, that I feel like that class really put like Texas on the map in terms of
Oh, yeah.
basketball, because we know Texas is always like known for like football, whatever. Like, Texas only known for football players. But I guess what was, I mean, you basically said it, like your biggest takeaway was like the highly competitive, like operating at the highest level. But I guess, from the relationships that you built and over in the bonded from those guys in the team during that time, who did you feel like had the biggest impact on you and why?
Yeah. Um, Man, I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't say that there was really like an individual person that had like the biggest impact, but I'll say it's like the environment, right? I feel like, it's like you go up towards the end of middle school, folks, the rankings start coming out, right? And it's like you look up and you see somebody that, you're seeing every day being listed as, top 5, top 10 in the country, you know what I'm saying? And like, I think the things that it does for you and just like your confidence and just like the way that you see the world, right? Is you're not like, oh my goodness, this is the top ranked person in anything in the country, right? It's like you're a little bit like desensitized to those things because you're like, oh, I have proximity to like this level of eliteness. I have proximity to this level of greatness. It's attainable for me. You know what I'm saying? And so, when I say that, like, I don't think that it was like any individual person, right? Like, that's not to like disrespect any of the people. It's just like, when you're able to be in a space where like you're regularly coming up against, right, where like greatness becomes like normalized, right, where greatness becomes like regular, right, then like all of a sudden your expectation for yourself, like that bare minimum that you'll expect for yourself, right, like goes up as well. So
Yeah. And I guess you could arguably say the same thing within the entrepreneur VC space, where like it's nothing but like that experience is nothing but top 1% elite. You know what I'm saying? And the world is small.
yep. And then you get to know folks and you start chopping it up with folks and you're like, wow, I knew that this person was very insightful, but I have insights from my time, and my period, what I'm saying, in my hustle that they may not even have. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh wow, okay, this greatness is starting to get normalized. I belong here. I can do all of these things that I'm seeing everybody else do. And I mean, like, that's 90% of the battle. You know what I'm saying? It's like, actually going out there and like taking the steps to like quote unquote achieve greatness, whatever that is, like in your mind, like actually taking the steps a lot of times is like not the most difficult thing. We talked about the interview with Callum, right? It's like the mental hurdle, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time to take the step is like the hardest thing. And it's like if you're in a space now where what you're seeing is people taking a step every day and it's normalized for you, you know what I'm saying? You've basically like gotten the most difficult part of just attaining greatness like out of the way.
Yeah. What does greatness mean to you, bro?
Yeah.
Like, what is your definition?
Yeah, and I think it means something different to everybody else, but I think that there's a level of like excellence, just an output that I think it comes along with greatness. I think there's also a level of like scale of impact that comes along with greatness. And then I think there's a level of just maximizing like one's personal potential, you know what I'm saying, that comes with greatness. And so I'm not going to be like, oh, achieving this or touching this many people or making this much money is greatness. But I think that like those are the things that like if you're able to like have outsized, performance in those areas, right? Like I think you can look back and be like, man, like I've seen and I've touched greatness in certain areas of my life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then so because I'm thinking about it a lot lately. What does it mean to be great? I mean, because again now, um, obviously in the situation that I'm in, I'm like it's a blessed situation where I'm the dumbest in the room and the least experienced in the room, right? Like I'm now like officially a fish out of water, like in a bigger pond. I mean, I've always felt like this anyway, like never was really like the strongest, the fastest, or whatever, but I knew that I would put in the work. But then now sometimes I'm just like, oh, this is kind of like this new level. And some of my peers, like from my friends from college or high school, don't understand what I'm going through. Have you felt like that way before? And how did you deal with that?
Listen,
How do
bro,
you deal with it, bro? I don't know.
Yeah, man. And I mean, like, I'll say that, like, I've been really intentional about trying to cultivate a peer group that's where I want to go. You know what I'm saying? Not just a peer group of, people who have been, in my life. And so, like, the people who have been in my life, like, those people who are truly there and, we've got similar goals and all that, like, we will always be locked in. But being intentional about building the peer group of folks who are where I want to go, right? Then it's like there's nothing that I go to that folks don't understand, right? It's like this is like, oh, I remember when I went through this, or oh, I remember when this friend went through this, or oh, here's some thoughts, here's some solutions, here's even some people to talk to, you know what I'm saying, that might be able to help you through this situation. And so, I think that while, yeah, it's inevitable, right? When if you're going somewhere where, a lot of folks who have been around you haven't gone, right? Like it's inevitable that the people around you may not necessarily be able to give you, the empathy, what I'm saying, the advice, right? Like all of these things that you want out of relationships. But at the end of the day, man, like this world is bigger and more accessible, what I'm saying, now than it's ever been. And so it's like you can be intentional about finding the people who are where you want to go, right? And like can be able to be there and can show up for you. And in general, just like as humans, like we're communal creatures, right? Like we want to be a part of something bigger than us. You know what I'm saying? And like when people work hard and like overcome things, like they see themselves in people who are trying to go do the same thing. And so even in developing, right, that peer group of folks who are where you want to go, like I think there are sometimes like these feelings of like apprehension of like, oh, I'm not far enough along to develop a relationship with this person, you know what I'm saying, or to go to this person. But it's like, no, like that person's looking at where you are, like the next person they want to work with, the next person they want to help is right where you are. You know what I mean? And so that's just kind of my, 2 cents on, just being in places where maybe people around you haven't been able to be, but still being able to adjust and adapt and give yourself the social and the community and the resources to, still be able to thrive.
Yeah, that's good looks. Because and also like I want to know how you've been able to maintain this level of humility and groundedness. You know what I'm saying, throughout your whole path in life, because you've seen a lot, and then we're obviously where we come from Dallas. We grew up. I'm not saying that we came from nothing, but then but we also like you see the opportunity where we rise. But I feel like the way that you're still able to come back and come down and talk to people that you once hung out with, or you were able to just realize, yeah, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to pay it forward. Why do you still feel like you still have that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of reasons. I mean, one is like when you see things, you just realize how much further you have to go. You know what I'm saying? And you just like, man, like I, I'd be looking goofy if I'm out here acting any type of way other than like out of full humility. You know what I'm saying? Just because you understand, right? Like, yes, there's in some respects there's a lot that's been accomplished, but in a lot of respects there's still so much more to do. You know what I'm saying? I also look at just like why I am where I am, and there's been a ton of intentional work, right? There's been, a lot of just strategy and, all of the maneuvering, all of those things. But like also, basically at every step of the journey, somebody's looked at me and been like, I see you. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to invest this time into you. I'm going to invest, this, knowledge into you. I'm going to invest this capital into you. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm not here without folks, basically doing the pay it forward, type energy, to me. And then I think, the last thing is, man, like this is like not an easy journey. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like you want to be living with like a peaceful mind and a peaceful heart. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's going to set you up, for the most like longest term, like sustainable success. And like just going and trying to be a good like human being in person, right? Like those are the things that like just like make you feel like happy and like fulfilled like day to day. You know what I'm saying? Like you're more stressed, you're less happy when you like messing people over, when you're giving people bad energy. You know what I mean? And so, just like living like in a way that like gives your day to day life like a level of like lightness, both in terms of just like positive energy, but also just like lack of negativity. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that's the only way where you can really just like be at your best for like this long, like difficult journey. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's like all of those things, just being intentional about all of them. Like at that point, it's like, what am I doing? Not, moving with like a level of just like humility and like approachability.
Yeah, word. That's very, very true. And again, like we knew that from the jump. And then also like our mutual friend David, he moves that way too. That's why I like when I met y'all at Afrotech last year. When I was going through some things, they're like, "Hey, no, yo, T, we got you." I got you. Freaking in Miami, our boss, oh, we got you. I'm just like, y'all didn't have to give me the time of day, right? But I'm just
Bro,
like,
that's what.
dang, Chan, giving me his email saying, oh, send me this, let me know whatever. I got your feedback. Boom, boom, boom. David said, yo, I'm gonna go make sure that I'm gonna check on you, call you. I'm gonna introduce you to that person, and I'm like, man, these like young OGs. I mean, like, young OGs because y'all are further ahead of me, but I'm like, wow. I'm like, I'm like, I'm honestly like, kind of. I view my friend. I personally feel like my friends or people that I'm close to or that I'm building relationships are more of my celebrities than any celebrity, right? And I'm just like, because again, like from seeing you on the internet, all that stuff, and I'm just like, well, I'm really meeting him in real life. This is like real life happening. What? And he's like super kind, super dope, super intentional, and it just for me, it just gave me the confidence of you can continue to move in the game and still be a good human being, especially as us as like as black men, where one, the media portrays us in very not positive ways, and then
Yep.
number two, they kind of feel like where kindness, humility, graciousness, and gratitude would be kind of seen as soft or weak, when really they're more strengths, in my opinion. But that's the
Yep.
softy in me.
No, bro, that's straight up. Like that's how you operate from real strength, bro. Like straight up.
Yeah, that's very true. And so now, I guess, as you've been like going through, through life, what I'm saying? What does it mean to be a black man in America,
Man,
in your point of view? Hmm.
man, bro. So this is an interesting question. I feel like even just with some of the things that I've been dealing with, over the past, we'll say just 6 to 12 months. Um, I mean, like I think from like a historical perspective, right? Like I feel like we all know, right? Just like the difficulties and like all the things that have been overcome. But I feel like in today's present age, we're in an interesting spot because I feel like yes, a lot of folks are definitely more progressive in their thinking than they were 150 years ago. But I think that you've got a lot of folks that also feel like more threatened, what I'm saying, than they ever did, than they ever have, because, what I'm saying, like our access is greater, what I'm saying, it's ever been. And so, I mean, like, yeah, man, I feel like there are more folks that feel threatened by us now, I feel like, than ever, but I also feel like there's more opportunity, what I'm saying, than ever. And I think one thing that I would just implore, all the black men who are listening to this, is to basically like look across and look at the other black men in your life and like see them as folks that you can build with and grow with, what I'm saying? And like we can hit a next level together with, what I'm saying, rather than folks that, we should be competing with, for like limited number of spots in the room or limited amounts of capital or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Because when we really all just like tap into like that individual and collective like excellence that we have, like what we'll be able to do is going to be so much greater than, if we're fighting for, a couple pieces, what I'm saying, and a couple crumbs, you know what I mean? And so, I think, we know what the world is, what I'm saying? We know what the situation is. And I feel like we've got enough access, and enough just skill set, intellect, knowledge, power, what I'm saying, to where if we support each other, what I'm saying, and don't really hurt each other, what I'm saying, going forward, future about to be crazy. Like crazy. Like, and I mean that like in the most positive way
100%.
possible.
100% agreed. And then because now everything post 2020, 2021, it was like, here's all the money, here's all the resources, here's everything.
Yep.
2023, it's now a scale back. Like it's kind of like one step forward, two steps back. And but obviously, they say in times of trials and tribulations where there's market contractions and all that stuff, this
Yep.
is where the real ones really, really push through.
Yep.
They have a lot of level of talent, grit, whatever. But also like this is where real collaboration comes into play. And I think
Yep.
I'm very optimistic. I don't care what the market or what anybody says, but I'm very optimistic too because now I am seeing the level of collaboration among us increasing. especially with other Black men too, for real. And I mean, like you've are reaping the benefits now, but but also just kind of like in a way, it's just like we can move in a way that's progressive together.
Yep. Oh yeah. And I mean, it's like doing stuff like this, right? Where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're supporting each other, right? In our like various endeavors, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, those are things that like, it don't take a whole lot other than just like showing up for each other, you know what I'm saying? And like being able to like create space for each other, and I feel like those are kind of the low hanging fruit, type things. Right. And, I can talk about, and we don't want to go too much into this, but like, the current situation that I've got going on right now, what I'm saying, with, the AI company, right? Where it's like, maybe us showing up for each other like this is maybe a lower lift. And then there are like larger, more intentional lifts where it's like, okay, well, we get a win and we're automatically going to turn that, situation where we got a win into an opportunity for somebody else to get a win. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like our like access and like ability to collaborate is greater than it's ever been. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, are we going to be able to like capitalize and like really take like opportunity, what I'm saying, from this moment? And I mean, I don't see any reason why we won't. So,
Right, right. And I like the way that you keep on saying showing up. And so in the last, outside of the biz, whatever, in who has shown up in your life lately?
yeah.
Like even in the smallest way, like that meant a lot for you, like in the past, 3 months.
Yeah, man. I mean, first of all, I got to give a shout out to Chris Gray, CEO of Scully. I feel like both as a friend, first and foremost, but then as a business partner, right? I feel like has shown up in a major way. Both transitioning right from, what we were building and working on, at Bootup to building, an AI, native tool, and just everything that came with that. I definitely got to give Chris like such a shout out for his support. And I'm so excited for us to be co-founders, right, in this company that we're launching. I definitely got to give a shout out to my dad. You know what I mean? I feel like, just as I am getting older and like having just like more just types of experiences in life, like I'm starting to understand, what I'm saying, him like so much more, and it's just part of that, just like, the early parts of like manhood and lifehood, you know what I mean? And so I'm like really, really, really appreciative for him. You know what I mean? I've got, just really, really good friends. Like, want to give a shout out to Price, Adade Abesi, one of the co-founders of Utopia Labs. Also a friend named David Fatoki, who's an angel in Boot Up and, is with the Golden State Warriors organization. I feel like those are just two of my closest friends in life, where like, you dealing with work or business, you know what I'm saying? And you can just talk about what's going on and like be able to get like a sounding board, you know what I'm saying? Like be able to get feedback, obviously, like, I talk to David, David Pulliam at, JP Morgan Chase, right? Like David basically every day, you know what I'm saying? And there's just like a level of like brotherhood and a level of community where it's like, look, man, yes, like we care so much about the work of our hands and like the legacy that we create for ourselves with our lives, but like you can't go do that and you can't go be that, you know what I'm saying, if you aren't full in yourself, you know what I mean? And so like,
Mhm.
basically everybody that I mentioned, like, yeah, they might be like work associates, but really they're like family, you know what I mean? And I
Mm.
feel like, just being able to have the folks in your life where like you can be fully vulnerable with them. You don't have to put on a show. You don't have to be, Chandler Malone, the CEO, or Chandler Malone, the angel investor, or like whatever I think or someone else thinks that like I need to be in the moment. I just don't have to be that. And I can be like Chandler, their friend who they know like makes mistakes every day and like, what I'm saying, struggles with this and is like really great at that. And like, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. That's needed because again, like oftentimes, we have all these titles and people have this expectations and pressure of who they might think that we are. But then at the end of the day, we're human. We're all human. We all have a soul, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's because I'm what I've been thinking lately in my head is like, who are the people that see us for who we really are? And how can we continue to maintain those relationships, especially in this what they say is a loneliness epidemic, as they've been saying lately. Like we're the most connected generation, but we're disconnected. And whether it's just among like people just living and going through life, like too often, is there such thing as work-life balance? Are we able to continue making sure that we we get out of the zone, because we got to stay locked in. But how locked in is too locked in, where we neglect and we forget the relationships that matter most. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yep.
like, this is just me like going through an existential uh, thinking about, what does it mean to be able to live and show up in the life today in like 2023, and then also like
Yeah.
with our peers. So
Bro, 1,000%, bro. I feel like it's harder than ever. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like the need to be on and like just the level of like distractions and like non-essential things that just like come across your face. And when I say non-essential, right, like I'm not just talking about like silly stuff, but I'm talking about stuff that just takes your attention off of your mission and your goals and your path and like your destiny in life. You know what I mean? And so I definitely think it's harder now. While we have more resources at our disposal, we also got more distractions, you know what I'm saying, and more like landmines, you know what I'm saying, than ever. And I think that's again the stuff that makes the community pieces so important, right? Because it's like you need other humans to be able to give you those temperature checks. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you look at the messages that are just like put out, right? And it's like the messages are basically about consumption, you know what I'm saying, and comparison.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like
Right.
those are like I feel like two of the most like deleterious things like for both the like your like self-perception and mental health, but also just for like your like goals and like dreams and like who you want to be and like what you want to accomplish like out of your legacy, out of your life. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if you don't have like the actual community, then basically your life is going to be centered around like consumption and comparison. And it's like you're basically going to be depressed and like running around chasing everything but like pursuing nothing. You know what I'm saying? And it's like
Mm-hmm.
we look at a lot of folks like now, and it's like in our time period, even though we have access to more information than ever, we have a higher percentage of people that are unfulfilled and empty. You know what I'm saying? Even though they got more access to, so, bro, community,
Yeah.
bro,
Did
like,
you ever feel?
go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Did you ever feel like that that you were on that path at one point in time? And then, if so, how'd you get back? How'd you snap back to the reality?
Oh yeah. I mean, bro, I think it's a fight every day. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like
Mm.
you open up your phone, right? And like, I might get a slightly different, timeline, suggested to me on TikTok or on Instagram than you, but like at the same time, they still putting the stuff in front of me that they think that, what I'm saying, I want to see. You know what I mean? So it might be slightly different, but it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, the culture in LA might be a little bit different from the culture in Miami, might be a little bit different from the culture in Houston, might be a little bit different from the culture in DC, right? But there are always like things in people's culture that like they are indexing for to signal to other humans rather than just what they like really want like fully for themselves out of their lives. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like literally every day you wake up, you know what I'm saying? You open your eyes, you pick up your phone, you open the laptop, you leave the house. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a fight and it's a conscious decision to be like, am I focused on my goals? Am I focused on my purpose? Am I focused on who I want to be? Or am I focused on comparing myself left and right? You know what I'm saying? Am I focused on consuming the thing to show people that I am like this person? You know what I mean? And so I can't say that it was like a specific day, bro. Like I feel like it's an everyday,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Every day.
like yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's good, and that's actually a really great answer. Honestly, that because it didn't have to be necessarily specific, but the fact that you kept on saying, "No, like it's an everyday battle," and speaking of that, you've lived in all these different places. What's been your favorite place that you lived, and what's been your least favorite, and why?
Um, I feel like I mean Miami's been great. I mean quality of life here is great. I'm a warm weather person. I love the water. I feel like I've got some like really great friends and some great community here. And then I think also just like I'm at a place in life where I've got more freedom and flexibility than I've ever had as well. You know what I mean? And so just like
Mm.
this period of life in Miami has been amazing and incredible. Um, I think, man, least favorite place that I've lived. Oh man. I'll say like some of my least favorite periods of time of life were in St. Louis, just because I was like broke in the very beginning of my period of time in St. Louis and like didn't really have like the freedom and flexibility to do things I wanted to do, but also like that's a period where it's like I realized, damn, if I can like get my hands on some money, like go create some value for some folks, you know what I'm saying? And like I can have a much freer, much more flexible, you know what I'm saying, life. And so, while I say that that period of St. Louis was like one of the maybe least pleasant periods of my life, like I feel like it was also a huge catalyst, you know what I'm saying, like for the rest of my life. And so I won't even say I have a least favorite place, but Miami's been great, man. Miami's
Yeah.
been beautiful.
That's dope. That's dope. It is. So now, speed of that, um, you made money. Does money make a person happy? Does money equal happiness? Or I guess how has money changed your life? Or like what were some of the things that were revealed to you, like the perception versus the reality of what it is
Yeah.
to be somebody that's creating value and is able to obtain a certain level of freedom and flexibility in
Yeah,
life
man.
now.
So one thing that I will say also is I feel like a lot of folks who are in our space don't really realize is they see like dollar names, dollar signs, you know what I'm saying, next to your name, like in headlines. And it's like, all that money ain't yours. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, none of that money is yours. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that belongs to like whatever you're trying to go build and do. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think like me and just like my coming into larger sums of capital with that being the reality, right, has just like changed my perception of money from I feel like if someone's just like walking into large sums, right? And so it's like
Mm.
because when I'm walking into a large sum, it's not even really just mine, right? It's like I see it as a tool, right? It's like I see it as something that you can leverage to like create freedom, right? Like create a life that you want, right? Like be able to like get yourself in rooms and spaces that you want to be in. You know what I mean? And so like really like I feel like for me it's like damn like now I got more of the tool that makes like the life game a little bit easier to play. You know what I'm saying? And like okay, like how can I use this tool to like even get us like closer towards some of these larger goals that we have? And so, I talked about this with you like in the very beginning, right? It's like after I went and raised the money for Boot Up, one of the biggest things I prioritized for me was basically just going and getting myself personally in rooms with particular people that I wanted to be, particular people that I wanted to learn from. So it's like, for example, I talked about, going to Martha's Vineyard, right? And I remember the first year I went to Martha's Vineyard probably cost me like 5-7 grand total for a week, and it's like, folks looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm spending that much money on a week, you know what I'm saying? But it's like now I'm co-founding a new business, you know what I'm saying, with somebody that I spent time with, at Martha's Vineyard. And it's like, you can't put a dollar price on how valuable this new business that we're creating is, you know what I mean? And so like, really for me, I feel like not getting money and being like, oh man, I'm getting money, but like more of just being like, oh wow, like I have a better access to this tool, you know what I'm saying, that I can leverage to go get me closer to my larger, longer term, bigger goals in life, And I feel like, the last thing I'll say is one thing my dad used to always tell me, right, was like, he'd be like, money doesn't change you, you know what I'm saying? Money just further reveals who you are. And I feel like, like you get your hands on, more than what you've had before, like I would just implore you to make sure that you know who you are and you know what you want out of life. You know what I'm saying? Because like you're gonna basically devote the resources towards like who you really are and like what you really want out of life. You know what I'm saying? Like you can say, you're this philanthropic person who wants to help all these people in the world, you know what I'm saying? But you get your hands on a bunch of money and then you just go get fly just for yourself, right? Just like that actually shows like where your heart is. And so, I feel like for folks who are wanting to come into that, first, kind of larger sum, or thinking about, what they'll do when they'll get that first larger sum, know who you are, know who you want, know who you want to be, and like know what you want your legacy to be in life. You know what I'm saying? And then you can be happy and you can be at peace with how you're allocating that tool. You know what I'm saying? When you get a lot more of it.
Nah, that's a that right there is a gem. Honestly, that's a clip. That's the clip in the cut. Like there's been so many clips, and I'm thinking, head, because again, it's a tool. It is a tool, and especially like in the heart space. You know what I'm saying? Like that really does hit. I'm not gonna lie. It always hits because I'm just thinking about like I remember when I first made my significant amount of money. First thing I did was like went to my family and was like, what does anybody want? Mom, you want to go to trip there? Grandma, you going to get a trip here? Ivana, you going to get this concert? Hey, my cousin will make sure you get those shoes, whatever. It was first to give. But that for me, I had to do a heart transition from being somebody that used to be scarcity mindset, and when you're like, oh, you don't want to give, but then the more that you give, the more that things become even more abundant. That's the
Yep.
secret. You know what I'm saying? That's the secret. It's the power of giving, and then that's when you see the capability of being able to receive more.
Yep. Straight up. Straight up. And again, right, it's like that thing where it's a tool, right? It's like you giving, it's like you are accomplishing something in someone else's life, you know what I'm saying, that you see that you want to get done, whether it's making them feel seen, you know what I'm saying, and loved and understood, whether it's like meeting a need, you know what I'm saying, right? But it's like, it's about what you can do with the tool, right? Like, it's not about like flaunting how much you can have. It's like, damn, I see this thing in this other person's life and I have the power to be able to change it or do something about it because I have this resource. Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I want to be mindful of your time, bro. So now here are the last couple questions that I usually ask the guests. Um, what are you enjoying right now in life?
Oh man. Love just spending time by the water, spending time by the ocean, you know what I'm saying, taking calls, you know what I'm saying, on the beach. Like, that feels great. Love playing basketball. I feel like I've got a great community of guys that I play ball with. And it's like, it's not just exercise, you know what I'm saying, that's great, you know, for like the body and the mind, but also it's community, you know what I'm saying, as well. And so, you know, loving that. Loving starting to spend more time with family. Been starting to spend more time on the East Coast with my mom and my grandmother. So, you know, that feels good. And man, like, I know this has been a rough period for a lot of folks, but I got a lot of friends that are winning, you know what I'm saying, in like very, you know, kind of like profound ways in life. And it's incredibly fulfilling to just like be able to see them winning, but also see their evolution as humans while they're winning, you know what I'm saying? And like,
Mhm.
you know, taking like the best evolutions possible, you know what I'm saying? You know, and not necessarily some of the ones that you could see happening, you know, from a negative perspective when people like have, you know, big wins. And so I feel like those are the things, man. It's like, I'm like, man, life is good. Life is beautiful all the way around.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And then obviously your mom has played a huge role in your life, and so I want to know what what is your favorite quality of hers?
Yeah, man. Oh man, that's a tough one, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I feel like she just has a ton of foresight, man. Like, just like naturally, like.
Wow.
And I feel like, you know, it's played out in my life like over and over and over and over again. And so like sometimes she'll do stuff and I'll be like, man, I feel like it makes more sense for us to do things this way. But like, the older that I get, the more I appreciate the foresight, you know. And like, I'll give just this example, right? Where it's like, man, I went to school and like I started regressing because the
Mm.
time that she spent with me before school started, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was like reading and writing at like a fourth grade level, you know what I'm saying, going into first grade, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, like, it's not like she spent more time with me than like another mom did, but like the foresight and how she wanted to spend the time with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally like set me up for so much success that it's like, bro, by the time I'm in fourth grade, it's like I've been smarter than everyone for 4 years now, you know what I'm saying? And that's like so young. That's such a high percentage of my life that my confidence, you know what I'm saying? Like, literally like my ability to learn, you know what I'm saying? Just because I believed in myself was so much higher than like a lot of the other kids that, you know what I'm saying, I'm in school with. Like, it didn't even have anything to do with my aptitude, you know what I'm saying? And so, you
Hmm.
know, I feel like there are just like so many things. I mean, like, even with basketball, right? It's like my dad coached me, but like my mom's the one that got me on like the AAU like travel circuit, you know what I'm saying? And it's like those spaces, like, they just like honed my like competitive nature. And like, I'm never in a room where I feel like I don't belong, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had that little,
Mm.
you know, in the White House earlier this year, and that was my first time ever being in a space like that. But I'm gonna tell you, bro, like, we belong,
You felt
bro.
like you
And it's,
belonged. Yes.
you know, but it's like that feeling of we belong, right? It's like, you know, I'm in first grade in Memphis, Tennessee, playing against these fourth graders, you know what I'm saying? Like, at an AAU basketball tournament, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have some experiences like that happen to you like a couple times when you're young. And as an adult, you're gonna go into a space like, and you're never gonna be phased. You know what I mean? And so I feel like the foresight that she's had really has just like set me up to go be able to be me fully in any room, in any space, like in a profound way.
Yeah, bro. And that's facts. That's facts. Like That's the what they call the Donda effect. That's literally what Donda had on. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I remember how you came up, you pulled up in that dinner, everybody dressing nice, but like, you and me, David, were like, whatever. But you came in with the plants, with the camo jacket, you know what I'm saying? The Air Force Ones, everybody dressing up like in the suit or like in the dresses. I pulled up in like, like in a crop top and my hat. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, if you
Yep.
got the knowledge, and then we sit next to each other. I'm like, oh, bro, like this guy is a guy who he knows that he belongs here, and he's dressing the way that he wants. He's dressing fly. Let's freaking go. Let's
Yep.
freaking go. Where everybody's trying to like, you can still dress fly. You can still dress like yourself and still participate in the conversation. Still feel like you
Yep.
belong. Wow.
Yep. Straight up. Straight up. I mean, yeah. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. For me now, I'm like, if you dismiss me off of something like that, then it's like we wasn't meant to work together anyway. Like straight up. Like, you know. Because I
Yeah.
mean, to your point, it's like you open your mouth, bro. The knowledge is there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I want to work with people who appreciate who I am and like how I express myself.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's good. That's really really good. Thank you for sharing, bro. And then, what are three things that you would tell um your 18-year-old self?
Man, you can do anything. Like none of these aspirations that you have for yourself are like too great or delusional. Like no matter what anybody says, like you can do anything. Um, Nothing happens overnight. You know what I'm saying? Like putting in like that consistent effort in the same direction day after day for years is going to be the quickest way for you to get anywhere. Like, like taking your time in one thing is going to get you further along faster than trying to take any type of like shortcuts or jump all over the place. Um, and then the last thing I think is, try to build as many experiences and relationships as you possibly can, what I'm saying, like over the next decade of life, right? That like 18 to 28, 18 to 30 period of life, like I feel like the more experiences and relationships that you can pick up, like the brighter, the richer, the more opportunities like your life is going to have. And so I feel like that would be my like big three things, of advice.
Yeah, you're 28 now, right?
29, 29.
29. So like, bro, like, so yeah, so like, this is like 11 years ago. Damn.
I know, man. I'm
Damn.
gonna tell you, man, it's crazy because I look at these pieces of advice that I would give myself, and I feel like these are all things that, like, when all of them like really hit home for me, like they were big, like just like levers that just kind of like unlock like new levels in my life. Um, yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Like, I'm really, really happy with how the past decade has been. But you know what I'm saying? If I could go
Yeah.
back in years with the knowledge that I have now, bro.
See, you'll be more up than you already are, bro.
Oh yeah, it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. Yeah, but
Man,
yeah, man.
okay, so like, now this is now selfishly for me. All right, so I'm about to turn 25 in January. Wow, I can't believe it. Like, that's crazy. So I guess, and they always say like this 25 is when your frontal lobe, da da da, whatever, right? So I guess when you were turning 25, like what's just some insight that you would give to me, and as I'm like now transitioning to the mid 20s into now the next stage where I know that these building blocks is actually really pivotal, because I know like this age kind of sets up, like everybody says, oh yeah, like don't worry too much or whatever, but I'm like, nah, bro, I know this time is really going to set up for like what 30 and up is going to look like. So any
Yeah.
insight from me, bro?
Oh man, this one gonna be interesting, but I feel very strongly about this. Focus on your purpose. I feel like like I talk about building relationships, but I feel like like some of the like romantic relationships and those types of things. The things that it takes to like build them and like the way that you really like want to build them. Um, are things that can kind of conflict, I feel like, a little bit with like some of the like items around purpose that you have, just in terms of like level of like
Mm,
time and intentionality that you just have, like physically, emotionally, like spiritually. And so I feel like like that period of life, like I feel like you like 25 to 30, man, you've got more knowledge but you've still got energy, and like that's the time to like really lock in on the purpose and goals. you know what I'm saying? And I feel like you emerge from that period of time. And I feel like there's like a nice opportunity and period of time and like people at level of like maturity, to like start focusing on, kind of like those family and relationship things. But I think, like that 25 to 30 period, like being locked in, you know what I'm saying? You really can set yourself up like super, super, super nicely, and I feel like everybody's got different things that they want out of life, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like you can just tell my life is very like achievement and impact and like legacy like driven, like some people's lives are more family, you know what I'm saying, and like, communally driven, you know what I'm saying? And so like that advice might not be for everyone, but I know for me, I'm like, damn, 25 to 30 is like the most power, the most knowledge, and the most energy, like all combined that I had. Like you put all that energy towards like your purpose and your mission in life, and like the things that you'll be able to accomplish will be, you know what I'm saying? Versus, making some decisions sometimes, putting other people, you know what I'm saying, ahead of you, like the things that like if you're being real in a relationship, like you need to do. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna like show up in a relationship and not put the other person's needs before your own, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes to go like accomplish your purpose, sometimes your needs gotta come before everybody else's, you know what I'm saying? So that you can be full, going into some of these spaces, And so, yeah.
You found like you found your purpose?
Oh yeah. And I feel like the way that it actually like plays out day to day is going to change over periods of life. But I mean, for me, man,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like I've had access at a very high level from a very young age. And that's what's made my life be so great. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I have like personal characteristics and traits, but really it's been that access. And so for me, it's like, man, if I can provide access for folks, and it's like, what is access? Access is to both information and to basically like humans and community. And like, you think about the things that I've built, right? And it's like boot up, providing access to information for jobs that provide economic mobility for anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like not just if you got your 4 year degree. You think about what we're doing at Path, you know what I'm saying? We're giving you access to better than the best career, advisor, job counselor, whatever you want to call them, you know what I'm saying? Like we're giving like everyone, you know what I'm saying, access to like that level of information, right? Access to, a top 10 universities, you know what I'm saying, career center, you know what I'm saying, without having to pay the sticker price to go to that university. You know what I mean? You even think about, just the stuff that, we're doing with the family. And it's like, all those checks are going to Black and brown founders, you know what I'm saying? And it's like access, you know what I'm saying? If like you give people access, you know what I'm saying? Like the people who have the drive, the ambition, the vision, you know what I'm saying? All those things, like they're going to emerge and they're going to go do amazing and beautiful things. And so for me, like, you know, the next level of access for me, I think, is going to be more around unlocking capital for folks, as we really accomplish, this goal and this mission of providing information to people, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, it's like, I want to be in a spot where like, I'm like, damn, like what did Chandler do? Chandler opened up this information to people. Chandler opened up these rooms and these doors to people. Chandler opened up this bread and this money to people. And it's like, people are exceptional. People are great. People don't need Chandler to be great. You know what I'm saying? If they can just have the things, then like they'll be able to go touch all their greatness.
Facts. That's inspiring, bro. That is definitely inspiring. That is definitely inspiring. And now my last question, bro, is this: what's a challenge that you want the audience to embark on?
Man, don't take the easy way out. Like, go be your best self. Go do
Mm,
all of the things that in your mind you wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? But you're like, oh man, that sounds kind of crazy. And I feel like I look at my life and I feel like the people that admire me and the people who roll their eyes at me, they do it for the same reason. And it's because I feel like I look at those things in my life that seem crazy, that like I really want to do, and I go after them like as hard as I can. You know what I'm saying? And it like has definitely put me in situations where, I've done and had to do things that made everybody look at me like I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? But then, you look up like holistically and it's like, it's the reason why, we even have a relationship and we want to have this conversation because you see how I've been able to move through the world and move through life. You know what I'm saying? And so like, you know, I just encourage everybody to like those things that are in their mind, those things that are in their heart to go do them. Life is short. You know what I'm saying? Like you may not have everything that you want, but you know what I'm saying? God gave you the idea and the vision for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got the resources around you, whether you actually have them right now or whether you need to go get them, but they're in, you know what I'm saying, your sphere to be able to go do it. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I just encourage people to like go do and go be their best selves, like the selves that they dreamed of, you know.
Yeah, bro. The way that I end this is the speak life section. You're doing it, bro. And then thank you for being an embodiment and an example of that. Thank you for being an inspiration to me, G. It's so inspiring just to see, man, like somebody going to do it motivates me all the time. And the way that you are leaving that impact, bro, it's incredible. And especially the way that you're doing it authentically as yourself. So I want to give you your flowers, man. Thank you so much for just being part of this pod. I really enjoyed this convo, bro. This is gonna be definitely a powerful conversation when it comes out. And thank you for being who you are, bro. Appreciate that.
That's love, bro. You gonna be at Afrotech this year?
Yes, I am. I'll be
Okay,
there.
that's a bet. I'll see you. I'll see you in less than a month then.
Less than a month. I'll be standing on the table again.
All right.
You know, you dig. You dig. You dig.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you at? Where can the people find you at?
On social media at Chano out of there. I'll shoot you a note just so you can have it spelled for everybody. On LinkedIn at Chandler Malone, and then recently just launched a new company. Want everybody to check it out at www.yourpath.ai. That's yourpath.ai. We got an AI career mentor, help you find your path, your way, your career, and life. So yeah, man, that's basically
Let's
it.
get it. Let's get it. Make sure y'all follow him. Tap in. And until next